Well, sound like we just got an email. Hey, yeah, Tyler just emailed. Are we still meeting? Is he not seeing the hangout or what?
I don't know. I didn't even get that email.
Really? It's 9:16. So yeah, he just sent it. I'll reply to it.
Yeah, let him. Yeah, I don't even see that email. I mean, I assume he applied to the same the line with all three of us. Interesting. Yeah, I don't even see that.
Yeah, it's odd, especially since you were just calling him too.
Trying to get into real quick. Keeps going straight to voicemail. Hopefully you're able to get a hold of him.
Let's see if he responds right away.
I'm going to copy and paste this one more time too.
Yeah. That's weird you haven't gotten that link. There we go. Okay, that was you.
That was me.
All right. Okay. So let's see if he responds.
How interesting the fact that I didn't get that other email.
Did you get my email that I just sent?
Not yet.
Yeah, so I just sent one. Try refreshing your page. I just sent. Yes, we're on right now.
Sorry, I did not. What's up, guys?
What's up, buddy?
I was honestly just sitting, like, looking at my email, and sure enough, there it was. So sorry about that. Hey,
that's all right.
Ben, I'm gonna send you my phone number. When I started this semester, my phone wasn't working, so I put my wife's number. So she was like, "Who keeps calling me?"
No worries.
Sorry, man.
That's all right.
Alrighty.
All right. So we just had our opening prayer. Do we have any spiritual thoughts for the week so far?
I don't.
I've been reading we just finished the Book of Mormon as a family, following President Monson's counsel. So now we've read the Book of Mormon a few times as a family. We're reading the Old Testament because I think that's something that most people have never read. So I want to make sure my kids read it. It's just interesting seeing, being reminded of all the stories and seeing the way the Lord worked with everybody. Right now we're coming up on Abraham. So at the same time, we're all reading those parts. I've actually been reading Pearl of Great Price, and it's interesting to see compare the revealed word, what came with Pearl of Great Price to Joseph Smith, to the sketchy record we have in the Old Testament, and it gives you a lot better in-depth view of what actually went on with Abraham and him deciding to follow the Lord. In the Bible, it just talks about the Lord is with him. But if you read it in Pearl of Great Price, it talks about him having desires to serve the Lord and to gain the priesthood and to make the covenants that his fathers made, and to turn away from the wickedness. His father was an idol worshiper and things like that. And a lot of instances of him removing himself from from bad situations. He realized that where he was living and where he was at wasn't the best place to follow the Lord, and so he would move himself and get himself out of there to make it a little bit safer for him and to help him progress in his seeking to follow the Lord.
Nice. Yeah.
So
Mike, it's kind of cool. Something that you said in our last meeting, like, has honestly kept going through my mind.
Really?
It was about the promise that you were given, like that your schoolwork is directly related with your scripture study. And I don't know, there's been a couple times, or just in these last couple days, where I feel like kind of like overwhelmed with like classes, and there's been like a lot of times where reading scriptures, it sounds bad. I need to do a lot better, but That's always been one thing where I'm like, oh man, I'm like too busy right now with like I got to get this done first, and then I don't know, it's just what you said. I've kind of like dropped what I was doing and just read a chapter or two, and then got back to it, and it's kind of amazing. Like I've already noticed just in a couple days, it's made like all the difference. I don't know, just reading scripture is super helpful. So that's kind of cool. Thank you for that.
No,
Awesome, guys.
good. I'm
Thanks for
glad. Yeah, I figure it's the best way to, thinking about it. I just did it because it was always in my critical blessing. I figure I need help, but as I've gone and reflected on it, what better way to invite the Spirit than to just start reading the scriptures and studying the Word. And once you have the Spirit there, then the Spirit's there to teach you.
It's kind of funny how that works. Even with like tithing and reading scriptures, it's like you would think that paying tithing or taking the time to read scriptures would almost take away like just thinking about it, but it's actually the complete opposite. I don't know, things just go so much better, but like to the world those things take away like your time or your resources, but in reality it's the complete opposite. So
yeah,
cool.
Yeah,
I kind of found that. I found that last semester a lot for me. Last semester I was serving in our Elders Quorum presidency, and I was getting calls a lot more often than I expected to go and just give like last minute blessings. And it always made me a bit nervous because I'm like, man, I'm in the middle of homework. It's already a late night. I don't know if I'm gonna get it done. But it was amazing when I would take the time out to go and do those blessings. I'd come back and immediately whatever I was working on seemed so clear and easy, and I was able to just knock it out. And it was such a testimony to me, like serving the Lord. It was just like all of a sudden I found that 25th and 26th hour in my day. It was so amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Kind of the same principles with keeping the Sabbath day holy. Joseph Smith talked about, and Brigham Young talked about warning the saints when they got there to, the middle of nowhere in Utah. I'm sure they wanted to just get right to work and get settled. They finally got to stop. And he says, no, time to rest on Sundays. And if any man doesn't, it's going to take him 5 days to catch up for the Sunday that he worked. So basically he'd be working until Friday to progress. And I've noticed that there's been a few times where, I thought the ox was in the mire, and it was really just my worrying about telling somebody no or whatever else. And it made a difference. And now it's just like, yeah, I don't care. I fear God more than I fear you, so, in construction, we got this deadline and we're, you're going to get hit with penalties and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, and I've even been rude about it. I guess it'd be rude. I said, well, I fear God more than you, so it'll work out. And so we just don't show up, and my phone's ringing on a Sunday, but we show up Monday and blow it out and get things done. And I know that if I'd have worked on that Sunday, all heck would have broken loose. So just trusting in the Lord, He's able to multiply the fruits of your field, and He can make things happen for you.
Definitely. That's awesome. All right.
So let's go ahead and get started then. The very first question out the gate is, what value did you give to RightNow Technologies? And I'm trying to finish up mine right now, so give me just a second. I'll share mine.
Oh, did you go ahead and do a spreadsheet?
I'm working on it, yeah.
No, you're better than I am.
I don't know if I did mine right, but I don't know. I don't know if it's difficult for anyone else having everything on its side. It's kind of annoying, but I took that. From Exhibit 4. I took the adjusted price and divided it by the revenue. Like I said, I don't know if I did this right, but for 2003, got that it was worth 35.9 million, and then 2004 was 60 million. So I don't know, with that growth, I don't even know. I put that it was currently roughly worth 129 million with the growth that it has right now. But
You put it worth how much?
129 million for the
Okay.
valuation.
All right. Well, let me do this. Michael, you can check my numbers. I'm going to run the same valuation of what we discussed.
Okay.
So let me share my screen real quick.
Yeah, we kind of discussed this before you got here, Tyler.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. I promise I was on my computer.
It's fine. We were just shooting the breeze, talking about elections and all that, and then we were both discussing how we hadn't finished our homework yet. And
oh man,
so
I wish I
came
could
up with
have
that.
been a part of that conversation. Jeez.
Well, we know you were voting for Hillary, so it's probably better you weren't.
That's right. That's right. Whatever. Oh man.
All right. Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Hey,
what we
well, it just blanked out. Oh, there it is.
What's up?
It blanked out for a second, but you're good.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So Tyler, if you look on the top of, or sorry, if you go first initially to the offer, so this is what we're looking at. Bottom of page 8 is where they talk about the offer.
Okay.
And first and foremost, the main thing is, in order to successfully do this, Gianforte, he recognizes that they need to have 2 to 3 times their previous post-money capital in order for it to even be of interest
to the venture capitalist. From that.
Yeah, because the venture capitalists are partners currently, and so yeah, he needs to recognize. He needs to get 2 to 3 times that in order to satisfy them. So if you go to the top of page 6, you find out that the previous post money was right here, 129 million. Okay. So now it says we need 2 to 3 times. So the 2 would be 258, and if we 3 times is 358. Now they even say that the offer will meet this or even exceed it. So that would be of interest, but nonetheless, it has to meet that rate. Now, so that's going to be the first thing. This is where he realizes the offer needs to be. Okay.
Okay.
But then I'll come back to this in just a bit. So that's the number I came with. Does that look right to you, Michael?
Yeah. Yeah, that looks right to me.
Okay. So then the next question is, please provide a range of values rather than a single number. How did you come to this conclusion? So yeah, this is the number I'm coming to. In order to make everyone happy, that value needs to just simply come into this range. And what we find out about that is, in order for it to be in this range, they talk about using a multiplier. It doesn't give a multiplier. We have to either find a multiplier, but nonetheless, they say they're going to value at least 50 million rather than the 35 million. So they're already giving them a boost there. Their 2004 projections were 60 million. So at least they're on track. But nonetheless, if you just think of 50 million to come into this range alone, that's at least a 5 times multiplier, which is far higher than normal. Is it understanding? I think it is understanding, because you see this company having extreme growth, and the company approaching them is threatened. So they're kind of have the mentality, we need to do whatever it takes to get these people out. So that's why it doesn't surprise me to see a competitor offer more to eliminate the competition and give them better security. So that would be 5 times, and in this case, this is nearly 8 times. So significantly higher multiplier. Are you following me there?
Yeah.
And that
Go ahead,
multiplier is on exhibit. at multipliers on Exhibit 4. You can look at the
Exhibit 4?
multipliers used. Exhibit 4, you can look at the previous multipliers in the industry from different sales that had happened from March of 02 through basically the end of 03. And the ranges on those go anywhere from just less than 1 to a multiplier of 4.34. So a 4.34 multiplier is going to get them at what on that 50 million? About
4 times.
225,000.
2 million. 2 million 30?
200 million. 200 million.
Yeah.
200 million 30.
So that's what I'm saying.
So it's even getting you close with that.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. To even offer this 258, that's pretty dang high. Yet alone the 387. Tyler, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. All right, so now this is interesting. So if you guys look at the next question, what if Greg's investors seek 30 to 50% in an internal rate of return? What exit value would they expect? So this was interesting. I put this also calculated. So I put 30 to 50%. So 30% return on that post money value would be 167 and 193. So that would be 30 to 50%. Then the way I was calculating it is since we know that Gianforte owns 60%, that means these guys have 40%. So his 60% would be 1.5 times this value. You guys follow me on that? 60 and 40, does that make sense?
Oh, that is an error we got in there. Shoot. You know, back up on that needs 2 to 3 times. That's 2 to 3 times what the investors have put in, right?
Well, no, that's just post-money valuation.
Oh, it was post-money valuation?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is the total valuation. But yes, that is what the investors did put in.
Okay.
So, but and we find out from the 258 to 384, 387, they're okay with this money. You know, because you look at 387, that means they're gonna maybe make 150. You know,
which on their original investments, what were their original investments? It was like 16 million, and what else? I'm trying to think. I mean, that's a huge rate of return. First one was at 16.4 million.
Which one is this? The investment?
This is the venture capital. Series A, Greylock and Summit Partners put in 16.4 million in Series A, and then we'll get back to Series B. Series B, they put in 1 year later for close on a 16 million Series round B. So they put 32.4 million in, is what the investors have put in. So they're way past their internal rate of return. They're way past a multiple. They're making great money. That's on page 4 and 5, Tyler. If that's what you're looking for. Or 3 and 5.
Yeah, I did not do that at all.
I'm glad you caught that, because then I definitely did my number wrong.
Yeah, because wouldn't the internal rate of return would be based on the money they invested, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's all they're looking at. They're looking at their own personal growth for their sake.
Yeah, which is funny that the case study would suggest only 30 to 50%. Find that odd for a, well, I guess maybe it's annual too though. When was that first one put in? 1999. So 4 years. Okay, so I can see that.
Okay, so let me take out this. And he owns 60%. So this is equal to this
Yeah.
times 6. Enter. Carry that here. So,
Man, that's a good payday
yeah.
for 5 years of work.
All right, so can you guys see my screen then?
Yeah.
So here's what I got. So if it comes in at this range here, Gianforte's 60% of that would be 154.8 million for himself to 232 if it comes in at 3 times. The investors cut from their previous investments equaling 32.4. They would need 42 to 48 million, and right now they're looking at over double that, 103 to 154.
Yeah.
So they're even looking at 2 to 3 times what they want, if our math and everything is correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not a bad payday for what, 5 years worth of work?
Yeah. It's not too shabby.
Which again, and I feel like this is somewhat fair. The biggest thing that makes this so crazy is because of the multiplier is so high.
Yeah.
You know, like you said, Michael, you look at Exhibit 4, and the highest thing you see on there is a 4.3. Whereas in this example here, and I'll just do it real quick. So the value is 50 million is what they're giving them. So they're giving benefited out already. And so if you do, this is equal to this divided by this. So that's 5.16 multiplier here. And the other one, 7.74, nearly 8 times. That's the multipliers being used in order to make this sale.
Yeah.
I think for how high of a multiplier that is, which says one of two things. Either it is definitely foreseeable growth for this company. So do you stick around? Because, you know, like they kind of project just in next year alone, they're hoping to make 60 million in revenues. So that would be a huge thing for them if they pulled 60, because then it's even more. But even 5 times the 60, or the normal 4 times the 60, is less than the current offer.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Yeah, but
my first instinct is to accept the offer.
well, and I'm wondering if, you know, from whoever's making the offer, from their standpoint, if it was me, and I don't offer this current software, that's not a market I'm into, but I see I'm missing out on it. You got to figure out how long it's going to take you to build those systems and everything else. And this one, by grabbing this, you're already up and running with your name, and you're just able to add to it with your own strength and force. So if they're projecting those growth numbers by themselves within the next 2 to 3 years, I mean, imagine what they should be doing once they have that large company behind them and those assets. So it makes that deal sound a lot more tempting.
Yeah.
What were you saying, Tyler?
I was just asking the question. Wasn't Greg like deals with these companies before he even had the product ready?
Yeah, in the early days. Yeah.
Anywho, if he, okay, from what I understand, so if he, the deal with that means like he completely loses control of the company, right? Like, or like he can get, the board can, like, if something were to happen, the board could totally get rid of him, right?
They could. They could totally. He's not gonna. He won't be a majority shareholder in that. He's actually selling his shares. He won't even be an owner.
Oh, gotcha.
I mean, he'll be an owner. Well, he'll be an owner in the bigger company because they're switching stock out. So he'll be an owner in the larger company, whoever's making that offer. But he'll be a minority stakeholder in that. But I don't know. I mean, if I'm getting a payday of $200 million, I don't need to own the company anymore.
Yeah. He can
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, he wants to keep 2,000 people employed around Bozeman. He can open up a ski resort and do pretty good for a few years.
Yeah. Oh gosh. That's crazy.
So,
Okay, so that's the values we came up with. Now it says provide your analysis of each of the options Greg is considering. Based on your analysis, what should Greg do? Consider Greg's goals as well as the goals of everyone else who is involved in this venture.
so what are the two? There's three options that the case study lines out. So let's look at those. You got an option 1, 2A, and 2B, which were the IPO. Okay, so that's the accept the acquisition. Option 1 is accept the acquisition, grow within a larger organization, which we like. Okay. You know, even on option 1, the last thing it says, just showing how high this offer is saying, what if the company stayed independent and achieved spectacular revenue and profit growth, but its valuation did not change much as valuation metrics became less generous, Warren Buffett, for instance, would not have valued any company at the revenue multiples implied in the offer. So he's basically saying it's a crazy offer. Okay, then option 2A, so let's move on with that one. Reject the acquisition plan for an IPO in 2004. So, did it say, I know it gave us some information on Salesforce, but it just still didn't tell us what the IPO was going to be, does it? Did you guys see anything on the IPO and what it would actually?
I'm looking for it right now.
You got the registration form, the S1. That was about all I saw. I don't know. I had a problem going with an IPO when you're 2003. You had just been in a recession for 2 years. The .com bubble had busted, and nobody had really done IPOs up to that point. To me, I'm not understanding why. I mean, the benefit would be is he gets to remain in charge and he gets to write it out. But I don't know. You got $200 million payday. It's going to take you a while to get to that, and to get to that point, anyways, you'd still have to find buyers to buy your stock.
IPO.
We should give us more information on that.
Come on. Down the
Salesforce had total revenues of 50 million in 2003. Still lost money. Lost about 9.3 million. Well, based on limited information I see from Salesforce, I really can't see going with the IPO option. What do you guys think?
Nope.
I'm against it.
Yep.
I am too. Okay, Tyler. All right, so let's look at what was option 2B, reject the acquisition offer and continue to grow organically. That's a big gamble. Software business.
Well, you know, and I agree. So what I'm considering here is if you did the 60,000 or the 60 million that they're projecting for 2004, if you did a typical multiplier for the valuation of that company, then and I'm just going to say 4 because 4 to me seems like a fair offer, then that's 240 million next year. And here's a company right now giving you that a year early without those kind of sales. So there's two ways to look at it. Either they truly recognize you as a threat and they're willing to take you out so as to eliminate the threat, or you recognize it's such a threat that, you know, there's going to be an opportunity for growth. We should stick it out. So it is kind of interesting. I don't know. My biggest thing that I'm looking at for him right now, there's the questionnaire at the bottom about being a bootstrapper. He clearly knows how to start and run his own company. I think he'd have no problem selling it, and if he decides to, he can have a new startup.
Oh,
He has that mentality, and now he has with that much capital, he can fund his own without any VCs involved.
I fully agree.
that's
Go ahead.
No, Mike, you go ahead. Sorry, man. I was just agreeing with Ben.
My opinion is if you can get cash in hand and lock in, you need to do it. I made that mistake back before 2007, and it's taken me 10 years to recover. If I would have cashed out, which I tried to, but I couldn't get my two partners to, totally different situation than where I'm at now. You know, if you have, you know, I don't know how much he really got from the first go around, but to have that big of an increase, a big step up, and you can lock it in, why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then also, Ben, you know, we're talking about this 4-time multiplier and all that next year to even come up with numbers that still are even close. If you go the average, I just went through and priced these out. If you go the average on those multipliers, it's still only 2.4.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Even the 4 multiplier is generous.
It's super generous, and you're still not making it. So to me, the selling it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
I mean, they're anxious to get the deal done.
Such a,
you know,
huge offer.
Yeah, and I mean, the guy's not even trying to play hardball and negotiate. He's just smiling and saying, "Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, we'll do that." I mean, dude.
And
you know,
not to be greedy, but they said they would meet and even exceed. So
yeah.
the 387, nearly 8 times, is a huge offer. And what if they came and said, "We'll give you $400 million right here, right now. Here's my bank account. Deposit it here, please." Well, it is shares, but nonetheless.
Yeah, well,
it's like
at that amount there, you could probably even negotiate forfeiting some of the shares and having them pay you cash directly just to get some in the bank. If you're that worried, you know.
Yes.
You know, hey, you know, go ahead and peel off a few thousand shares, and I want a cashier's check for $10 million.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
All right.
Honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you're in. If it's software, construction, if someone's willing to buy your company for $200 million, you do it. So,
Yeah.
anyways, takes money to make money.
Yep.
He could start all over from scratch, but now he has $200 million and build an empire. So,
Yeah.
All right.
I agree. And he'll still have shares in that company, and he's still able to grow with it. You know, if he wants to stay on with that company that he has shares with, he can still continue to grow it and grow the shares from within that company.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, I tried to make mine a little bit more pretty. I think we all agree, so I'm gonna go ahead and give our summary then. Are we good with that?
sounds good, man.
Yep.
Okay, so for the case of, I just totally forgot what we're doing. RightNow Technologies, we feel that they would be best off if they sell, and the reason why. The offer given states that they will use as a multiple, or the value that they'll multiply is $50 million, representing a revenue. First of all, this is a generous offer because their current year's revenue was only $35 million, and they're already offering higher. In addition to that, though, and this is what's really big, Gianforte has established that if he's going to sell, then the value that needs to be given needs to be 2 to 3 times the previous post-money valuation, which was $129 million. This can be found at the top of page 6 in the case. 2 to 3 times that value would be $258 million on the low end and $387 million on the top end. Now, what's interesting about these two numbers is if we divide these two numbers by the $50 million number presented, this comes out to a multiplier of, on the low end, of 5.16 and on the high end as 7.74. If we look at Exhibit 4, we find that the average is 2 point something and the highest given is a 4.3. So this multiplier being presented is significantly generous. Now, when we look at these multipliers, we'll also see that they project their 2004 to generate $60 million in revenue. So now if we took that $60 million in revenue and we applied that generously to the highest known multiplier on that chart of 4.3, you're barely looking at this value here. And that's in a year if they meet their $60 million revenue goal. If not, then this still stands as a very generous offer. And then the other question presented was if the investors who invested initially 6.4 in Series A, 16 million in Series B, how much would they need if they sought for an IRR of 30 to 50%? Of a total of 32.4 million, 30% increase on that would be 42.12 million, and the 50% would be 48.6 million. We know that Gianforte has owned the majority of the equity of 60%. This value, if he got the low end of 258, would be 154. The difference is 103 million. That significantly beats these guys, giving them 60 to completely doubling their investments. So this would be highly valuable to the investors. And then if they really got lucky of 387, you're looking at 154 million for the investors, which is nearly 3 times what they're looking for, the 50%. So for them, this is definitely a deal worth taking. So then our big answer is, what do you do? Does he accept the offer? Does he decide to wait for an IPO, which failed once before? Or does he hold on to the company, try to allow it to grow some more, and sell or pursue an exit plan later? What we decided was best is if he sells now. This is already projecting next year's sales beating it. And he even said they may even beat this deal which could potentially be as high as $400 million. So if he did that right here, right now, he has all the startup money he's going to need for his next startup company. And so for that reason, we felt that it'd be best for him to sell. The IPO route would be scary. It already failed once and may fail again. Is that a chance we're taking? We didn't feel it was. And the idea of trying to hold on, there's really not a whole lot in gaining unless he holds on for several more years to really try to rake up the value of his company rather than accepting it now. So this is why we feel the best option is to accept the offer and run with the money.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Well said.
All right.